Celebrating 4 years of talk like you've never heard it before, this is GabNet, the Great American Broadcast Network.
Hey everybody, this is Alex Bennett, host of the Ramble, heard here and seen here on GabNet, Tuesday through Fridays, live at 10 p.m. Eastern Time, and I got some big news for you. Our program has moved its live video from Facebook Live to YouTube Live. After extensive tests in our GabNet laboratories of at least 10 minutes, our mind was made up and we've come to the conclusion that YouTube is superior not only in video quality, but audio as well. And then there's the ease of watching it. Here's what you do. Simply point your browser to youtube.com/Bolo Bennett /live. That's youtube.com/Bolo Bennett, BOLOBENNETT /live. And you're there. The player is waiting, and you do nothing, and when the show begins, so does the player. Couldn't be simpler. In fact, tag that page as a permanent tab on your browser, and you're ready to go. And if all of this is too vexing for you, well, just go to gabnet.net near showtime, and the player in the middle of the page will start to play when we're on. We're thrilled with the new quality our move has provided, and while you're there, would you do me a favor and please subscribe to our channel? No, I beg you to. Hey, listen to me, I'm groveling, okay? I know, it's pathetic. I'm sorry, I'm debasing myself, and I really shouldn't be. Please.
Ladies and gentlemen, the history of talk radio. Political opinions have been a staple of radio since the early 1920s. Talk radio as a listener participation format has existed since at least the mid-1940s. WMCA New York's Barry Gray was bored with playing music and put a telephone receiver up to his microphone to talk with band leader Woody Herman. This was soon followed by listener call-ins. In 1948, disc jockey Alan Courtney began a call-in program on WGBS Miami. The Alan Courtney Open Phone Forum was a conservative and anti-communist political forum with coverage area over the southeast United States and Cuba. In the 50s, Joe Pine, John Neville, and Gene Shepard were among the first to explore the medium. In recent years, talk radio has gained popularity with many new formats flourishing, including all sports in 1986 with the birth of WFAN New York. The subject matter for these formats are different, but the structure has remained the same for all these years. You might say, talk radio is a 20th century format. Until now, that is. It's 2014. And radio pioneer and innovator Alex Bennett introduces the Citizen Panel on GabNet, the first revolutionary idea in the format since its inception. The Citizen Panel allows for an open discussion to take place between the host and many listeners all at the same time. Listeners claim that it's addictive, producing stimulating discussions on any topic from politics to movies and entertainment. It's not liberal or conservative. It's open to all opinions and ideas. Log on to gabnet.net to listen and find out how you can participate. Listen to the programs on GabNet and take a step into 21st century talk radio. Celebrating 4 years of talk like you've never heard it before, this is GabNet, the Great American Broadcast Network.
Hello everybody, this is Alex Bennett and this is the Ramble, this happy little festival that goes on every night until midnight Eastern Daylight Time. And as usual, we make a very, every now and then, we make a very special call out to somebody we know in a very special way.
Okay, we're just a little late in getting to him, but we got to call our friend here because we always do it like this. Right? Call mobile. There we go. Here we go. Come on, start ringing. There we go. There we go. See, we're going to a phone here.
You're 1 minute late. Mr. Bowleton wants to see you in his office. Oh, you're fired.
Yeah, well, you know, that happens. That happens.
I don't know. Usually you're as prompt as Mussolini's trains, but today, 1 whole minute late. But that's okay. I'm high on life and wired on gas station coffee. Let's do something.
Yeah, so how's everything in... this is Stephen Pearl, folks. How's everything in Las Vegas?
Very good. Considering I'm walking everywhere, but, my little black cat, Muddy Waters, is sitting next to me and all is well.
Yeah, because, you're living in Las Wages, Nevada.
Las Wages, Nevada. Orange, lemon. For Christ's sake, there goes Junior's college fund.
The only way to come out ahead is to, when you get off the plane, walk into the propeller.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Las Wages, Nevada.
Some old Catskill.
Where the dollar flies away and you don't see it again.
Some Catskill jokes like that, followed by take my wife, please.
There we go, rating Leonard Barr's material again.
Yeah. Well, I'm now Henny Youngman. Come on.
Henny Youngman, my God. All right, my wife wanted to go somewhere she'd never been before for a honeymoon. I took her to the kitchen. Thank you.
You know something? He may have been the worst comedian of all time.
Oh, he's horrible. I never liked him.
But for some reason, he was so horrible that when you see him now, in retrospect, he's hilarious because he's so bad.
Exactly.
And do you think he knew that?
Probably not, but I didn't know him personally. There's the image, and then there's the real guy, so who knows?
Yeah.
Maybe the real guy goes, hey, man, they really buy that. I'm not onto this shit, man. Maybe I'm just going to milk it for everything I can. I'm not even going to play this violin. And everyone knows I'm even better than Jack Benny. Maybe he could play it. Who knows?
No, did he play better than Jack Benny? No.
I don't know. Well, everybody can play better than Jack Benny.
Well, Benny wasn't terrible. He just wasn't good.
He could play. He actually, in real life, he could actually play. He wasn't,
My father worked with him. My father worked with him once. My father was a violinist. And he said, I got the feeling that he wasn't as bad as he acted. That in order to play that badly, you have to play fairly good. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, sure.
There was a what was the name of it? What did they call themselves? Darlene and somebody else and her husband. And it was two very famous people who turned out this album of a woman who was constantly singing off key and a guy who couldn't play the piano. Do you remember that?
I think Soupy Sales used to play that sometimes.
Yes.
It was some singer, and she was like, be just enough off key to really piss you off.
It was
and
really.
You could tell she was probably a really good singer.
She was. It was Joe Stafford, is who it was.
Joe Stafford, yeah, that's it. I remember
but they called somebody and Darlene somebody. I can't remember the last name right now. But she was Joe Stafford, and he was a very famous arranger and orchestra leader who was her husband.
Yeah.
And they turned out this album in which I wish I had it here. I'm Darlene. God damn it! My mind is a fucking.
I'm gonna go to YouTube right now and find out. How about that? That will solve all our problems.
My brain has turned into a juice bar. It's really terrible.
Can't remember everything, Grandpa.
Darlene Edwards and Jonathan Edwards, I think was the name. Darlene.
Not the same Jonathan Edwards. How much does it cost? I'll buy it.
No.
Darlene Edwards. Joe Stafford, Darlene Edwards.
Yes, right. Right, you got it.
Yep. Here it is, a whole bunch of them on YouTube. She even sings Staying Alive on here, so I guess she was around for a long time.
And did it as Darlene Edwards, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jonathan and Darlene Edwards. Oh, and here's Jonathan and Darlene Edwards right there.
Yeah.
And they're there with Jack Benny, and there she is singing Staying Alive, and they're singing something else. It's Magic, all kinds of
It's Magic. It's Magic is the best one. It is just so...
Okay, is Magic the best one? I play it right now, but it would come out all garbled on this newfangled phone of mine.
Yeah, well, also, it would get me a little note that I was playing copywritten music.
Oh yeah, there you go. You get from Mr. Steinbaum Bergowitz, their lawyer. So
yeah,
and the American music business, and you hey, don't do that again, or your knees will be bending the other way.
No,
yeah, if you like your blood on the inside, don't play that song.
I love those albums because she was singing so perfectly off key. I mean, you knew she was a really good musician, and she sometimes would go for a note, and everything was kind of going right, and then she would go for that last note, and it was completely off.
I love it.
And she was, it was a masterful album. I mean, I loved it. And the album cover. The album cover was a guy's hands on a piano and their two left hands.
Oh, let me see. I'm looking at the album cover right now. There's her looking at him lovingly, and there's two. Yeah, there are two left hands. That's very funny. Very good. Good move.
Yeah. Is anything funnier than that? I mean, come on.
That's very funny stuff.
They were terrific. Other people have tried it, but not with the precision that they did it. It was just, and Columbia released the album. It wasn't. It was like, okay, we'll really, because in those days, releasing an album wasn't all that expensive. I mean, this was just a piano and a voice, right?
Yeah. Huh?
But this wasn't for real. I mean, for real, you had to go to what's her name? Oh God, they made the movie out of her. Florence Foster Jenkins, who they made a movie out of with Meryl Streep, who rented out Carnegie Hall once a year to hold a concert in which she sang opera, and she was terrible. She was ghastly. But people loved her because she gave money to the arts, and she was a nice woman. And they would all show up, and they would give her a standing ovation like she was a big star because they loved her so much.
Kind of like Mrs. Miller in the mid-'60s.
And there's a album out on RCA that came out on RCA, and I think I may still have it in my storage of Florence Foster Jenkins. I remember it was one of those 10-inch LPs. You remember 10-inch LPs?
Sure, EPs, sure I do.
No, well, yeah, but no, I think they called them EPs.
Not long play, but extended play.
Extended
EPs,
play,
yes.
EPs. And she's on the cover wearing wings, like she's in a Wagner opera. And her her pianist was Cosmo McMoon. Cosmo McMoon, and I don't know if that was a real name. That might have been his porn name,
It can't be a real name, Cosmo McMoon.
But she was, what you love about listening to her and about her story was she so loved music that she wanted to sing in the worst way, and she had the money to rent out Carnegie Hall. Because people don't realize this. Hey, I'm playing Carnegie Hall. Great. How much did you pay for it?
Exactly. Yeah. What you got?
I played Carnegie Hall. I was in a show for Marvel Comics that Stan Lee asked me to be part of, and I was on stage reading the part of Dr. Doom, I think it was, from Marvel Comics.
Sure, robot face, metal face,
on stage at Carnegie Hall. And just before I went on, I called my mother. I said, "Guess what, Mom?" She said, "What?" I said, "Guess where I'm backstage?" She says, "Where?" I said, "I'm about to go on stage at Carnegie Hall." And she was so impressed by that, not realizing that any asshole could buy and rent a night at Carnegie Hall.
That's funny.
It was for rent.
If I told my mother I was appearing at Carnegie Hall, she said, "What about the other 364 days out of the year?"
Oh boy! How did you like your mother?
No.
Why?
No.
Why?
I think right now she's in hell, sharing a very small room with Hitler. Poor Hitler. What did he do to deserve this? She was a crazy person and a spirit crusher and a very tantrum throwing. I'm glad I got away from her.
Oh, but wait a minute. Hold on a second. Lie down on my couch here.
I hated my mother, yet I obsessed over her large bosom. I did not know what to do. So every time I see a large bosom, I want to grab it and then smack her because I don't like my mother.
Yeah. So what was?
No, she was a typical crazy Jewish Long Island, crazy person. So.
No, but I mean, what did she do that made you hate her? I mean, like my mother was, she was very cloying. She was very selfish, I felt, as a person, because it was always about what did you do for her. You know, she would always say, so-and-so's such a nice person. Last week they took me out to blah, blah, blah. And I'm going, it's always about if somebody does something for you, they're a nice person, you know?
Yeah.
But my mother wasn't a terrible person, and she didn't you know, she was always very proud of my achievements and things like that. So I have no reason to hate her. I just didn't like my mother. You know,
yeah,
I loved and I adored my father, who went far too early. But how'd you feel about your father?
He was all right. You know, we didn't. He didn't quite get what I do, but you know. He was all right. It was from a distance.
They were typical what? Queens?
He provided upper middle class Long Island family, passive-aggressive spirit crusher, and she would cry and throw tantrums a lot. When I was a kid, she'd break my toys and stuff, and then she'd apologize and buy me a new toy. Then she'd break that, then she'd apologize and give me another toy, and blah, blah, blah. She was not well.
Boy, but your father was just, he didn't understand what you did for a living. Is what his...
No, he didn't get it. He didn't respect it. He didn't, what do you do? You go up there and say, why did the chicken cross the road? Blah, blah, blah. I go, well, I guess we won't have much to talk about, will we? So, see you later.
Jewish parents, and more particularly New York parents, always want for their kids a good career. All right?
Yeah, well, that's not in my case. I was either going to be a cartoonist or a rock and roll photographer or a comedian.
Yeah, well,
so there you go.
And those are professions.
I was doomed from the start.
Those are professions they don't understand. If you said you were going to go to work for Uncle Nate in his box factory, they would be proud of you.
Oh, you're going to make boxes, huh? You're such a good boy. It's skilled work.
Yeah, yeah. But
it's a steady income. You move to Ozone Park, and when you're 30, you'll hang yourself, man. That's what happens.
I was very fortunate. I grew up in a artistic family. I grew up, my father was a musician. So every time I said, well, I'm going into radio or whatever, they went, great. You know, I mean, my father understood that. He understood I was going into show business just like he was in show business.
There you go. Yeah, my father was an artist, but he didn't get it. There you go.
But very few parents understand that unless they are in art, you know, and then they go, my father said to me once, the nicest thing my father ever said to me was, well, you never played the violin like me, but you went out and started playing the turntables better than I ever played the violin.
Hey, he gave it up to you.
Yeah, I mean, he understood what I did and why I made the choice. I did. I mean, I tried any number of instruments because I came from the Schwarzman family in San Francisco was the premier music family. Everybody in the, when you met up with somebody as a kid, they would say, oh, and what instrument do you play? You know, that's how well known the Schwarzmans were as musicians. My aunt was a harpist, and among her, the best job she ever had was she worked for Spike Jones.
That's cool.
And what she did, here's how she worked for him. He had a bit in his stage shows where there was a harpist sitting on stage, and she was knitting throughout the whole show, right? And then at one point in the show, towards the end, she does this big glissando with the harp and then goes back to knitting again.
Hey, it's a gig. What the hell?
Yeah, and she said that after a week at the Golden Gate Theater in San Francisco, that knitting she did went all across the stage, what she had knitted. Because they were doing, in those days they did 6 shows a day. Right?
That's right, yeah.
So, 30 shows, 35 shows. She got a pretty long piece of knitting going across the stage.
Oh, yeah, that'll make a long scarf or whatever she's making.
Yeah, but, I mean, Jones paid well, and that was a gig. And she had other harp gigs, like with the symphony and so on. And then my uncle Ben, I think his name was, Bem. Was a cellist, I believe, and then I had an Uncle Arthur who was a pianist, and so everybody my father was a violinist. I try to remember if we had some other relatives who were musicians as well. So it was expected that I would grow up to be a musician. But no such luck. I tried any number of instruments. First, my father started me on the violin. I didn't like the violin. You know why? You have to hold that thing up under your chin for long periods of time. And your hand gets tired, and so you really got to like the violin in order to go through that. So then the next thing they taught me, gave me lessons for, was the trombone, which really shouldn't be classified as a musical instrument, but just an instrument of torture. What is it? What's the difference between a snake and a trombonist? And the answer is the snake has talent. So
what's the difference between a dead raccoon on the road and a dead trombonist on the road? The dead raccoon was probably on his way to a gig. And I gotta tell you, you tell that to all your musician friends, and they'll chuckle heartily. I guarantee.
But there were these big, gigantic, trombone jokes. But anyway, so I tried the trombone, and the only thing I liked about the trombone was the spit valve. I liked to play it enough that I got enough spit that when I emptied the spit valve, I got a lot of spit on the floor. That was it.
I don't like instruments where you have to spit.
I then taught myself the piano and played it mildly, some rock and roll piano, but that was about it. Kind of Fats Domino style, because he was my idol at the time. Yeah. But, I wasn't good enough that I think maybe at one point I did have a little band with some friends or something, but I was terrible. But when it came to radio, that was a different deal altogether. And I loved radio. I just loved what I was doing in radio, and I didn't mind suffering the consequences and the slings and arrows of trying to get a career going. So, did you ever play an instrument? Because you love music.
Oh, sure. I played guitar, and I played the keyboards, and I played the harmonica. I don't know if you have catch the harp or the Mississippi saxophone. Yeah. And I started on the clarinet when I was a kid, and at the very best, I qualified as almost fair on any of them. But I needed a capo on the guitar to play an E chord. But I got to tell you now, guitarists are hearing that going, oh, that's a good one. But, I played a few instruments, and just like you said, well, I love music, but it's better if I just listen to it and critique it, but instead of trying to play it, because I'm not too good at this, and my fingers are bleeding.
Now, you said you wanted to be a cartoonist.
Yeah, I was for a while, actually. I worked for some little low-class unknown magazines in New York.
Oh, really?
Many years ago.
Really?
In the 70s.
Yeah.
Yep. So Rocket Magazine, which was a rock and roll magazine, I think they lasted about 4 months. Yeah. And they also had a subsidiary of Porno Magazine, so I did cartoons for them. I don't remember the names of them, but, if you can find a copy of any of those magazines, they're worth absolutely nothing.
Suck My Dick Annual.
Yes, the Suck My Dick Christmas issue was my favorite. I didn't know Santa Claus was circumcised. Well, he is the way I draw him.
Wow. So what?
Getting a blowjob from Farrah Fawcett. Whoa, it was a simpler time.
What stunted your cartoon desires? Well,
publishers are sleazier than club owners. At least when you do a comedy club, you get paid immediately when you get paid.
Oh, back in those days, all the big comic companies were run by the mob. If I remember,
we found that out on this magazine because one day a couple of guys in suits came to see the publisher. This guy, well, I won't say his name, but they took him into a room, and I heard smack, boom, boom, smack, and they left. And then a minute later, he came out with a bloody nose. It was none of my business. I was just there drawing cartoons.
I'm not paying any attention, boss. Yeah, no, but that's terrible.
so terrible. It didn't happen to me.
I don't know that they were necessarily owned by the mob, but they were controlled by the mob because the mob controlled.
Oh, they had their fingers in it, without a doubt.
Well, the mob had control of magazines that got onto newsstands, and in those days, comic books were sold where? On the newsstands.
exactly.
And so I think all of them were mobbed up to some extent. I would have to ask my friend Shecky, who's the big expert on comics. But you know, they had to deal with that. But you never. So you quit the comic career. How long did that last?
Well, I did it for maybe a year or 2 years, and you know, I draw something and I give it to. Well, you get paid when the thing's published, and 2 months later you get a check for like $100. I go, well, I don't like this very much. And I also sent stuff to the National Lampoon and to the bigger magazines, but nobody wanted it. So
I'll tell you, you're absolutely
lower class stuff.
You're absolutely right. They do pay on publication because I did stuff for.
Yeah, I hated that. At least I go to a comedy club. Oh, you get your $5 as soon as you're done. Hey, thanks, man. You get free French fries. Oh boy. Well, if that guy's played, if he doesn't mind, okay, I'll do it.
Well, I did a column for Hustler, and I would turn it in, and I was getting $1 a word is what I was getting paid. So I usually is about 1,200 words, so I got $1,200. But I didn't get paid till that particular issue came out.
Exactly.
And then I got paid, and then they eventually lowered it to a flat rate of $950 a column, and then they lowered that to me not being there anymore. So, well, because Hustler was in a lot of trouble, you know.
Yeah, unless you're like really well known or something, like a well known cartoonist or writer or something, it's kind of hard to. It's not fun eking out a living. That I found that it wasn't that much fun trying to do that. So, and the cartoons would take a while too. So okay, hold on for like $100, and I don't see that for 3 months. Sure,
yeah, exactly.
Where do I sign up?
So that's no fun.
That's no fun.
But after comic books, then what did you do?
I just started doing stand-up, and I got a couple of jobs here and a couple of jobs there, and then I moved to San Francisco in '79, and within a year and a half, I was making a meager living at stand-up, and I've been starving ever since.
Well, you did okay in the heyday of San
Francisco.
I
did all right, yeah. You know, I paid the rent, paid the bills, bought some toys. What the hell?
Well, in those days, you could actually make a decent living in San Francisco as a comic. You know.
Oh, sure, and rent was very reasonable back then. That was a secret. So, you know, you can walk down the street in San Francisco, for rent sign. Hey, you want to buy your apartment? How much you got? I got the money right now. Okay, you're moving that day. So
well, that's
gone forever.
That's why you're living in Vegas now, right?
That's exactly why we moved. But I'm enjoying it here, and I've been on stage more times and done more things in like a couple of weeks or in a month than I did in a year in San Francisco. So it's fun. Yeah. I opened for Carl LeBeau last weekend. That was a lot of fun. He's doing a midnight show at the Tropicana Friday and Saturday night.
Oh.
And there's a club called Jokesters. They let me go on there, and they said they'd start throwing me some green soon, so that'd be nice. It's some guest sets, so I don't know what I could do. So, you know, there's clubs here, and I'm little by little going on stage here. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's
so true. I like it.
So
I like it. Once I get my car all fixed up, then I'll be driving instead of walking.
You're actually doing better in Vegas than you were doing in San Francisco towards the end.
Exactly. I mean, you know, there's so many. If you're a local and an older local like me, there's only so many paid gigs in San Francisco. The Throckmorton Theater's great; they use us, and the Punchline would use us twice a year. That's about it. So, you know, I'm glad I came out here.
Yeah, because whenever I would talk to you recently, I'd say, "What are you doing?" And you say, "I think I have a gig next month." You know.
Yeah, maybe.
You really weren't working, so it's unusual that you moved to Vegas, which I believe must be a pretty competitive town for this sort of thing, and you're working a lot, you know.
Yeah, I'm not looking to be Brad Garrett or Wayne Newton or anything, but I just want to go on stage here and there, and I'm doing it. So,
you know something,
and it might lead somewhere, it might not, but I'm having fun, and I like it here, and the rents are cheap, so what the hell?
Yeah, but
it doesn't snow.
You should do it as best you can so that you can look at yourself and say, maybe I still have a career, you know?
Yeah, yeah. What is this career you speak of, Earthling? He said the C word.
Yeah, I know you got a good friend in Carl LeBeau who probably will use you a lot more, you know? And
I hope so.
And playing the Tropicana is no small deal. It's a big hotel.
Nope. Yeah, no, they got a great. The room there is really cool. They're there to laugh and have a good time. It's a good feel.
That the hotel?
It reminds you of the early Comedy Store, so a good vibe there.
Hey, we've run out of time.
Oh man, that came and went quick.
Nothing like talking about failed careers in order to make the time go by.
The time zip on by when you talk about failed careers.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Let's do it again in a couple of weeks or something like that. Right, Steve?
Anytime, my friend. Put the date and I'll be here.
Celebrating 4 years of talk like you've never heard it before. This is GABNet, the Great American Broadcast Network.
Yeah, that's our old friend Stephen Pearl. Thank you, Stephen. We really appreciate it and all of that. Okay, anyway. Boy, I've got to get... Look at this. See these? Those are those little ear plugs that I use. Wait a minute. Hold on a second. Let me go back here. Maybe see if I can find some more to put in. Here they are. Here they are. Here, I've got 4 of them here, so I can use 2 of them now, and I better mail away for more. These are Etymotics earphones that I use, and they have a very they only work if you have a tight fit. Now they have things that go right into your eardrums, but I don't like those because I don't like things that go directly into my eardrum. Hold on a second here. But they also have these things that have foamy cushiony things, okay? And so what you do is you take them and you scrunch them like this, okay? And then you put them in your ear, and as they're in your ear, they then kind of spread out and fill up your ear cavity, so there's no outside sound coming in. And these were getting a little hinky. Okay? All right. Oh, that's really nice. Now all I can hear is myself. And you, if you call the citizens panel, let me just bring up Skype here. Let me turn it on. Online. And we're ready to go. So Skype is online, and then you will find out what the citizen panel is all about. Citizen panel is unique to this program, folks. We only have what's the amount? We only have a whole group of people in. Can I try this again? I'm all flabungent tonight. We have a system whereby a whole bunch of people talk at the same time. That doesn't sound like it would be interesting, but sometimes it gets quite invigorating, and sometimes it doesn't. Let me see here. What do you know? Already we got one person calling to be on the citizen panel. Ladies and gentlemen, the fabulous from Plano, Texas. It's Scott Boddicker.
Hey, Alex, how you doing?
Yeah, our friend Jack Bishop gives you guys all names or something. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, like, he's got, the night nurse, and this person has a name, and that person has a name. You don't have any name at all, right?
I think so.
Okay, all right.
Doesn't matter.
You know what I wish he'd stop doing? Next time you talk to him, tell him this, is using the word Hawaii. It's not Hawaii. It's Hawaii. And Hawaii sounds like an old Jew thinking of going on vacation. Where are you going? I'm going to Hawaii.
I'm going to Hawaii.
Hello.
To see the hula.
You don't have a photo meeting tonight? What happened?
It's next week, the 17th.
Oh, I thought it was every week on Wednesday.
No, it's every other week.
Yeah, every other.
Oh, so you've been giving that as an excuse for just not having to call in. I see. Okay.
No, I don't need excuses. I have other things. There's this Thursday.
Yeah.
I'm going to a concert at the UC Theater called "Get the Lead Out," and I guess these guys are Led Zeppelin tribute band.
Well, I'd pass on something like that.
It might be interesting.
Led Zeppelin fan.
Nah.
I'll go for a little while. And
did I ever tell you at the time Led Zeppelin beat me up?
No, but you probably deserved it.
Huh?
Tell us about your Led Zeppelin experience.
Well, I was invited to go to the Led Zeppelin concert out in Long Island at the Nassau Coliseum.
Yeah.
And I go there, and they load me up with all these patches, like badges about, backstage, side of the stage, front of the stage, all of that.
Access.
All
backstage
access. All access.
Full access.
Right?
Yeah.
So now I decide I want to go from this point A to point B, which is going through the back of the stage, right?
Right.
And some guy, one of the goons they hire, who I later found out was their head of security and was eventually deported from the United States for some of his beating up of people. I'm going from one side to the other, and they go, "Where you going? Hey, you can't go here." And I show them the badge, right? And I start walking through, and next thing you know, they jump me and start beating the shit out of me.
Wow.
Yeah. And I got up and I just ran like hell. I ran outside of the Nassau Coliseum. I didn't want to even stay there, right? It became a big deal in the press, okay? It became a big deal in the newspaper that I had been beaten up by Led Zeppelin goons, and all I was trying to do was just go from one place to another, and they thought that was enough to just jump on me and beat the shit out of me.
You said you had a whole bunch of passes.
Yeah.
Was one of them on your back that said
"Kick me"? Yeah, right. So it became a big deal, and I've never told this story actually, but somebody I know was working as a limo driver for them, and so he had to take them around to various venues and so on. And at one of them, they were in a back room somewhere, and he was back there because he was the limo driver, and they're discussing if they should have me killed.
Why?
Because of all the bad publicity I gave them.
Wow.
These guys were nuts. They were absolutely nuts. And when they came to San Francisco, they beat up Bill Graham.
Well, I'll certainly make sure I don't tell any of these guys that I know you.
Well, no, this isn't Led Zeppelin.
Well, yeah, but they're wannabe Led Zeppelin.
But you asked me why I didn't like Led Zeppelin, and I think I have a pretty good reason.
Yeah.
Yeah. They wanted to kill me.
I'm sure a lot of people wanted to do that.
Now,
How did the press find out about it?
well,
Did you tell them?
while they were in New York, okay,
Yeah.
their manager, who was also Peter Grant, who was also a fucking crook, they took all the money back, the proceeds from the event, because usually you get paid in cash, and then you have people take it in a Brinks truck and you put it in the bank the next morning, right? They took the money back to the hotel, and the hotel got robbed, and the money was gone. But story has it that one of the major investigations they were doing was against Peter Grant and his people.
That's the guy's name in Hammer of the Gods, Peter Grant. Was he a big fat guy like?
Yes, he was a big fat guy. Yeah. He was actually the police. This was known. You can go back to the newspaper accounts of the day. One of the suspects in the robbery was Peter Grant, saying that this was a way they were trying to keep all the money for themselves rather than having to pay taxes on it.
I believe that.
Yeah.
I read that book in Hammer of the Gods.
Yeah.
They sound psychotic.
They were. They were.
You know, I think even if you
Jimmy
get
Page was like a big
robbed,
Mr. Crowley fan. He bought his house.
if you get robbed, you still got to pay the tax.
No, he's right. They probably took the money in the suitcase.
Oh, no, you can claim that as a loss.
Really?
I think you can claim that.
Well, I guess it offsets it, yeah.
Yeah, but anyway, and then the head of security, who was a British guy, I can't remember his name now, the one that beat me up, beat up Bill Graham, and Bill Graham went to the authorities, and they literally deported the guy.
Good.
He couldn't come back into the country.
David, the guy that runs the venue, used to be the president of Bill Graham Presents.
Really?
Yeah.
You know the film, all right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm just wondering, he may not like
ask him about the time that he got that Bill Graham got beaten up by the goons from Led Zeppelin. It's a It's a famous story.
I'd like to hear that. So
I'm sure I'll see him, but he had also mentioned that he was going to Bobby Slayton on Saturday. No. Was it Thursday or Saturday? Bobby's playing at the Punchline.
No, is he playing at the Punchline? I didn't think he was going to do many gigs lately. He kind of has opted out of doing comedy a lot.
Yeah.
But
no, it's Thursdays. Get the lead out.
Oh, so. Yeah. Well,
I'm not photographing. I don't want to photograph a tribute.
But you'll go to anything you can get him for free, right?
That's right.
That's really what it's all about.
That's pretty much the story. He sends me an invite.
God.
Yeah. So
when I read on Zeppelin, Jimmy Page was so obsessed with Aleister Crowley, he bought his house like a psycho.
Yeah, no, he was in Aleister Crowley. And I can't remember which one of Led Zeppelin they found in a closet at a hotel once, tied upside down, naked. He had been in some kind of sexual deal, and it's what he kind of dug.
Oh my God.
I can't say which one it was.
It might have been Bonham, because he was like totally
Let him
nuts.
sue me. I don't give a fuck. I have nothing to lose.
Well, who's
here.
alive, Alex? Is Jimmy Page and
They'll sue me and
Robert
put
Plant.
Gabnet out of
Guys are
business.
gone.
Do me a favor. No, they
Get over that. I go crazy when you say that story. It's like, because they sounded like they were psychotic.
Peter Grant was crazy.
He had to be that, like, just totally stone cold crazy.
Some of those guys, managers back in the day were really questionable.
So it wasn't an act, Alex. You actually like, this guy's really nuts.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Alan Klein, for instance, who became the Beatles manager. He'd been the Rolling Stones manager, and they got rid of him. And when the Beatles left, when what's his name died?
The guy who was with John Lennon all the time. But what's his name again? He was friends with him.
The Jewish guy?
Yeah, the Jewish guy. When he died, they were in desperate need of a manager. And this is one of the reasons why McCartney kind of broke off from the rest of them, because he wanted the Eastman family to manage them, and they wanted Alan Klein. Now, Alan Klein had been the Rolling Stones manager. But Alan Klein, I got to tell you, I had dealings with Alan Klein. They were always very positive and nice. And he had a guy by the name of Bennett. What was the guy's first name? And they were nice enough to me. But the word around town is that Alan Klein was a cold stone crook. And he would do things like a new Beatles album would come out, and he had a deal with the record company. They give him 250,000 copies off the top, which he would then sell himself to make some extra money.
Oh my God, that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
Did the Beatles know about this? I mean, that's kind of cold.
Well, one time it was either George Harrison or John Lennon that I asked the question. I said, Alan Klein's been managing you, but this guy's been stealing money from you. I think it was Harrison, and Harrison said to me, or Lennon, I can't remember which, well, he can steal $200,000 from us if he wants to, or even $1 million. He's made me $10 million.
Oh my God.
So if he wants to steal, good. If it keeps him happy, it keeps him happy.
Sell your records.
So
cost of business, huh?
That's how Alan Klein got away with it. But there was a whole thing where McCartney wanted nothing to do with Alan Klein. And so he had the Eastmans kind of manage his career. And so that's what kind of was breaking up the Beatles, was that whole thing, Wasn't Yoko,
Interesting.
Yeah.
Did you go to the Rolling Stones concert in San Francisco in like 1980?
I mean, the one at what do you call it?
Candlestick.
Candlestick? Yeah.
Okay, so I didn't go, but you gave me the pass. Talking about passes, there was like a fabric stick-on pass for that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what I've done with it. It's gone, but I put it on a book because anyway, you gave me that. I thought it was
I think
very
it was like
cool.
the tongue or something, wasn't it?
No, it was a rectangle and about that big, and
Yeah.
it stuck on your clothes. You know, it had adhesive
Yeah.
on it. And
I remember I did that from a broadcasting booth in Candlestick. We were doing a broadcast from the live show, but we weren't broadcasting the music. We were just doing a show from the live show. So,
I liked that pass. It was very cool.
Yeah.
I don't remember exactly what was on it, but I knew it was Rolling Stones.
Yeah, I know. Why'd I give it away? I have no idea.
Because you'd already torn the back off of it. It was, and all I got was scraps. Hey, you want this? So,
it was like I had stuck it to my. I guess I had to stick it to my clothes in order to. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it was cool.
Yeah. I was at that one. I saw them in Madison Square Garden 2 years earlier, when they did what was maybe one of the first big concerts. You know how concerts went. When I first did the Beatles show in Houston and the Rolling Stones, they would come out with 5 amps and a drum set, and that was it.
More.
That was it.
And they got the Wall of Sound by who's the guy that got arrested?
Well, that's Phil Spector, but that's a method of recording, not.
Oh no! Didn't he have Altec voice of the theater speakers stacked up 20 high and 20 wide?
No. That was a studio technique that he invented called the Wall of Sound.
All these other guys that had all of those Marshall amps that would be
that was called a lot of amps. That's what they called
that
them.
was it.
But what happened was it was the first. Brian Epstein is the name, by the way.
Oh, yeah, yes.
I knew it was Jewish guy.
Good friends with Lenin.
Tyson Acosta says that, and also October 1981 was the Rolling Stones at.
Okay, so that's when you gave me that.
Yeah. Anyway, what was it? What was he saying? Where were we? You were talking about the Wall of Sound. That was a studio technique. But what happened with the Rolling Stones, the show they did, was the first time I ever saw a big, huge production in music, and then everybody started doing that. They had like a lotus leaf pedal a stage that started as a pedal and then went down like this, and became. The whole stage. And then, of course, they did all their various stuff. That was the first time I ever saw that kind of production. Prior to that, it was just they came out and, there were some amps on stage and they sang a whole bunch of songs and they left.
Right. And the next group used the same amps.
Well, now concerts, it's like a circus comes to town and they set up and they get ready to do their big show and they do it. It's like a big production number.
Yeah.
And they charge you. Marjorie went to see Eric Clapton this week.
Oh, she saw Clapton.
Yeah, and she wanted me to go, and I he hasn't been good in years, and I think he needs to throw another kid out of the window. But
He fell out.
because he needs
introduced him to the Led Zeppelin.
He needs an inspiration for his music. Anyway, she wanted me to go, and I'm not a big fan of Eric Clapton. I mean, he's okay, It was all right when he played for me personally in my studio, but since then, what the hell?
We got paid to get it.
I've never been that crazy. I mean, I know he's good. Okay, I know he's a good guitarist. I've seen him play the guitar right in front of me on an acoustic, and I sat there with my jaw dropping. Okay, he's a very good guitarist, but I just have never been a big fan. So I don't like going to concerts anyway, because they're long and most of them are boring. All right. But she loves Eric Clapton, and she wanted me to go, and I really didn't want to go, so she took her girlfriend with her. And
what are tickets like in New York for?
That's what I was about to tell you.
Yeah.
$150 a ticket.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. For what? An old.
Well, you know, I think when I saw the Eagles at the
and believe me, he doesn't do a big show. He just sits out there and plays the guitar. You know.
Yeah.
150.
I saw the Eagles. I think they were about $150. But that was a great concert. Those guys are great. Well, they were.
Yeah, they didn't. They didn't float my boat either. You know, I found a lot of those kind of folk rock bands, and that's what they really
you're right.
were.
They were like country type. I always thought.
You know, to be kind of boring.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah, I was with them myself.
You know, I know the music.
Now, I would go and see Elvis Costello, for instance.
Oh, I like Elvis Costello.
Costello, I saw one concert. I saw the Romeo and what was the thing he did? Or Juliet Letters concert, where he did it with a string quartet.
Wow, that's nice.
And it was they did it at San Francisco. Was it maybe not the Opera House, maybe the Symphony Hall, maybe the Opera House.
And Alex, I like when he even took over the talk show. I thought he was really good, Elvis, when he did the talk show.
You mean when he did Letterman?
Yeah, Letterman. Yeah, I thought he was really good.
Yeah, the talk show.
Like him because he's a musician.
How dare you call Letterman the talk show?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Oh, that's true. I liked it. Yeah. But I like Elvis, though. I thought he was really good.
I think Elvis Costello is brilliant, and I think his wife is even more brilliant. I think she's just incredible.
I liked him. I should buy his book. He's got a book out.
Yeah. But anyway, you know, good band. Is anybody else going to call tonight, or is it just going to be us? You know, because if I start talking politics with Phil, Tony isn't going to say a word, and Scott Scott's
going to go crazy.
Scott is going to shrug. You know.
My father thought Rock Hudson was alive still the other night, but that's another story.
Who?
My father is forgetting a lot. I mean to talk about my father because it's on my mind. I can give him his pills in the morning, and then he'll remember for like a half hour, and then, did you give him my medicine? So I think it's a little bit of old time.
Well, you should come over and see me. You should come over and see me. I'm the same way.
No, you know what's going on. Like Alex, I come home for lunch to give them lunch, and I just come home for lunch. He remembers some things, and then sometimes he'll forget.
How old is he?
83.
He's not old enough to be that bad off.
That's the doctor. He's not that bad. Some days he's fine.
No, but
it's like
I'm
little
saying
short-term things. He gets a little confused sometimes.
Maybe he wants to be.
Maybe he wants to forget you, Tony.
He does. I know. That's his dad. You were an accident.
Who are you again? You know.
I think he's telling the truth there now. My mother's mind. He's telling the truth. Shut up, Leo. That's what she yells.
By the way, I'm really proud of myself. This is true. And more people, will you please call? I did something today. You know, we have an iMac here that's maybe 10 years old. And I finally put in the Mini Mac to replace it for Marjorie. And when I tried to reinstall the operating system, the computer said, your hard drive is failing. We won't do it.
Oh, no.
Get another hard drive?
Well, you can't. In the iMac, the hard drive is inside.
And you can't, iMac, not Mac Pro.
No,
okay.
No, and just like the Mac Pro, you can't just get into it. Okay, right. It's just not that easy. All right. So what?
Did you reformat the hard drive?
Well, no, I tried. It wouldn't do it. It just said this hard drive is
toast.
It's not toast. It's still working, but it's failing. Yeah. It just recognized that it wasn't. It was on the edge of just going bad.
Can you use an external hard drive?
Well, now that's what I did, and I completely resuscitated this iMac. So, folks, if you have an iMac and it has a hard drive going and it's old, and you don't want to spend the money to put in the hard drive, just get yourself an external. And I went over to Costco, and they had for $119. They're now 5 terabyte mini drives. Those little mini drives. Yeah. You know, 5 terabytes. 5 terabytes. So I partitioned it, okay, because and I installed a new operating system in it. Right. This thing runs like it's brand new.
Yeah. I did that to my iMac too. It wouldn't read, it wouldn't do something, it wouldn't boot.
Right.
And you have to do like a Control T or something.
It's Command P. Command P.
What?
Command P. And that brings up the there's a recovery mode.
Oh, okay.
And you get that menu. And one of them is, do you want to install the what do you call it? The system, the latest system, or the latest system that's available to your machine, which in my case was High Sierra, and you go yes, and then it says which of the hard drives do you want to use, and since you can't use the other one because it won't recognize it, but it does recognize that, you tell it to go to that, and then from then on in, it boots from that hard drive.
Right.
And the only thing you have to do is make sure it's plugged into your USB port and when you want to boot it up, and you've got yourself a brand new computer.
Yeah. Does your iMac have a FireWire too? You could do that and you'd be even quicker, I would think.
It has a FireWire, but I don't. You're going to be pretty hard put to get FireWire drives today.
Oh, yeah. That's true.
I still have some because of my... what do you call it? My MacBook Pro is FireWire 800, and I've got a couple of Lacey FireWire drives.
Yeah, but they don't make them anymore. They just don't.
Yeah,
you know, they because what came out, and these, of course, my iMac isn't this way. They came out with the USB 3.0, and USB 3.0 is about as fast as most internal hard drives would be. But in this case, it's not as fast. But
fast as Thunderbolt.
Where are you going, man? You don't need it that quick.
That's right.
Yeah, you'd be surprised.
No,
you got some big graphics programs.
Well, he's just doing it for shits and giggles.
I was just trying to get this machine working again. I wanted to resuscitate it, and that's a way people can do it. If you are listening to me and you have an old iMac and the thing is on its last legs because the hard drive is going.
There's mine
right
there.
Yours, right. Is that the one that you put the external drive on?
Well, I did have an external drive on it and everything worked and I was running Tiger on it just fine. But then all of a sudden I got to thinking, well, since it's toast, I just went in and reformatted the whole thing and reinstalled it and it works fine.
Yeah. Okay. That sometimes will save it. Okay.
Yeah.
But eventually that drive's going to go. And when it goes, just, put an external on there. Put in a USB port and boot from the external.
Yeah, it's like 11 years old. I mean, it's time for it to go.
Oh, mine was 2007. Maybe it's 11. It's probably the same year yours is.
I don't know when I actually got it. I could check on
But it's very hard. You don't want to throw out a computer if you don't have to.
Yeah, I like to see it.
By the way,
I switched all the computers at the store and the server, and then all the old computers were sitting in a storage room, and then I switched out those computers and the server, and I ended up with even more workstations and more servers sitting in a storage room. So I had to get rid of a printer and an old copy machine and about 10 workstations and 2 servers. I had them put in the back of the car, and I bring them to an electronics recycler, and they took them. I took the hard drives out of them, but
God forbid you take your personal information.
Yeah, well,
yeah,
nothing they can do with it.
So any of you other motherfuckers out there going to call? Huh?
What's that?
I'm getting people to call. I'm doing my pitch for people to call. My begging and pleading and getting down on bended knee and saying, fuck all of y'all. I'm quitting the business if you don't call tonight.
Any word on the hurricane? Are they going to get hit?
What do you mean?
They got hit.
Where were you?
I didn't. Well, my mother said it was coming. It's a Category 4. She said, "Well, they
came and went." I think
it's now down to a Category 3, and it's like blowing your nose. What?
Oh, I must have missed. I didn't.
Yeah, you must have
halfway through Georgia already. I think.
Okay, at least nobody got hurt. That's good.
A friend of mine has a carpet store in Panama Beach, and he sustained a lot of damage, and so I'm just hearing about it on Facebook.
Yeah, so big deal. It's Florida. Fuck them.
You're right, Alex. Who would want to move to Florida? It's so dangerous with the storms.
I every time I hear a Florida hit, a hurricane hit Florida, I sit here laughing my fucking head off.
I mean, why do people? I know they retire there, but you're right. It's dangerous. Your house will be ripped apart any moment. It seems like they're always getting like.
Yes,
here comes
and
another
if you
one.
live in California, an earthquake can hit, and if you live in the Midwest, there are tornadoes, and if you live in New York, you can get mugged.
There's bugs.
Yeah. That's true. Yeah.
So
big bugs.
But
I was afraid.
Do you know what else they have in New York?
What?
Copperheads, those poisonous snakes.
Yeah.
I don't like snakes, and I grew up in about an hour north of New York City, and I'd walk home from the bus, from the school bus, and there'd be copperheads sunning themselves in the middle of the street, curled up.
In Brooklyn?
You lived in the country, it sounds like.
Not in Brooklyn, Westchester.
Oh, Westchester.
They would have shot it in Brooklyn, Phil. Pow.
Well, people live in Westchester. I hope they get bitten. But anyway, the only place I care about saving is Plano, Texas.
What?
Yeah, that's what he is.
No snakes in Plano?
We have a water mountain.
Now you know the biggest danger.
Really?
The biggest danger whenever there's a hurricane is that a very dangerous breed of animal comes out.
People?
Weather forecasters who are standing in the fucking rain. They had a guy at NBC today who was being blown so badly by the wind he had to hold on to a pole. And I'm going, what kind of moron are you? Haven't you heard what the governor of Florida said? Get the fuck out!
Did you ever look at that parody I sent you of these guys off camera that they pan over to, and the guy is doing the news?
Oh,
and
no, that's real. That's not a parody.
No, not the one with the guys walking behind him, but some guys.
There's a report, a weather guy going, it's very sorry. I mean, he's acting like he's, fighting the wind and so on.
Right.
And right in back of him, some guys are just walking by.
Right. Well, I sent you that one, but I also sent you one where this guy was pretending to be a reporter, and there was people off to the side throwing lawn chairs behind him, and another guy with a garden hose.
Yeah.
And he was spraying them. I sent you that one.
That was probably a put on. That particular.
Yeah, it was a put on. Yeah. It was a parody.
But I mean, what kind of morons stand out there in the middle of the hurricane? I mean, especially when the governor of Florida, Rick Scott, says, "Get the hell out." When every public official is going to get the hell out, and these guys from these TV networks are sitting out there, getting blown, so to speak. It's just it's just ridiculous.
Well, they have a word for the guys that don't leave. It's called shelter in place, and they're nuts.
Well, I mean,
it's the storm surge that's the problem.
You could probably stay there if you got a strong basement.
No basements in Florida.
No basements in Florida.
Oh, well, then you're fucked.
Yeah, I think the water table is about 5 feet down.
Yeah.
And that's why they don't even bury people in the ground. They have to have mausoleums above ground, just like New Orleans.
Yeah, well, that's the reason for it in New Orleans. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah, Florida, it's the same thing.
Anyway. So what else is there to talk about? We talked about the weather. Yeah.
Anything with Trump?
Oh, you'd have to do that, wouldn't you?
I know. I think he's so entertaining.
Tony, don't you know that in Phil's presence you don't want to bring up... saying Trump's name in Phil's presence is like saying...
Beetlejuice.
Saying Alexa when in a house full of echoes, okay?
Yeah.
I mean, I was listening to Damien tonight, and he was talking about his Echo, and he referred to it. He said, "I can't say its name because it'll start."
Here's a headline: Bezos loses $9.1 billion. I guess the stock market went down 700 or 800 points in the tech stocks.
830.
Your boy can really brag about the stock market today.
it's still pretty good.
801 points.
Yeah, and the Fed says, Trump says the Fed has gone crazy. Mortgages are an 8-year high. So, I guess there's a reason to celebrate.
Reason to celebrate?
That's what the Dems like. More taxes, raise the interest rates.
No.
Nothing with the judge. He's been quiet. I guess they swore him.
Yeah, I guess he's listening to some cases.
You think he's there? Oh, he's going to be on a case? Oh, God.
Yeah, it's like some parking ticket stuff.
Can you imagine talking what?
But anyway, no, but today, where was it? Let me see here. The stock market finished $831 down, the Dow. Yeah. The NASDAQ, 315, which is extraordinarily high for the NASDAQ. My own ex-company that I have stock in, Sirius, down 23 cents, which for them, at 23 cents...
is about half of their value.
Right now.
No, what it is, it's, let's see here, 3.7% of their value, okay? So anyway, let me see here. Where I don't have the Standard & Poor's, but supposedly, I was told by Shecky, who is a finance guy, that really one of the things you have to consider always is the Standard & Poor's. That's a better indicator of how good or bad things are.
Yeah. Now, I didn't invest anything. My ex was the investor, and she got everything when we divorced. But the people tell me that the S&P was the way, if you invested in an S&P fund, that it did very, very well over the last 15 years.
Yeah, but that's supposedly the one to watch as an indicator. The Dow Jones is, it's just, supposedly a lot of this today was due to tech stocks, which just took a dump all over the place.
Yeah, well, and now Bezos lost $9.1 billion. I'm just wondering if he's still the richest man in, is it the world or America?
It was the richest man in the world, I think, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
But,
more than the Sultan of Brunei and.
Well, all of this is on paper.
Yeah.
Okay. So it doesn't really matter much.
All of my wealth is on paper. It's called Charmin.
Really? Yeah. Nobody else is going to call tonight, huh?
What's going on?
Wednesday.
They're waiting till Thursday. No Phil.
What are they? No Phil Thursday.
Yeah.
That could be Phil. You never know.
Yeah. Hey, word travels fast.
Are you losing your plug? Are you losing your hair plugs?
Losing? No. It's probably the angle.
No, it looks like. Doesn't it look like he's losing his hair plugs?
Well, I'm going for a haircut tomorrow, but
I'd be afraid to cut it off.
Yeah, I'd be afraid to cut it off.
It grows back.
How much did those plugs cost you?
How much?
In 2003, it was about 13 grand.
Really?
That's my mother's haircuts for like 10 years, probably. Holy.
Well, I didn't need haircuts for about 10 years prior to getting the plugs. So what I saved,
Now, did you find when you got the plugs, you got laid more than before you had the plugs?
No, I looked a lot older than I was when I when I'd lost my hair, and so it made me feel I liked it. I feel I got my money's worth. What? And now I had only hair on the sides and in the back, so
like Trump.
Yeah, like Trump, but there's more in the front.
My friend, my old friend Robert Schimmel, God bless his soul, who is now dead, and not from baldness, was quite bald. And I used to wear my hair so that it was coming down here. I had the Danny DeVito look. Right. And he said to me, cut it all off. I said, why? He says, I call a preemptive baldness.
Really?
That you don't, if you wear your hair long on the sides because that's the hair you've got, it looks bad. But if you cut it short, your baldness doesn't look as bald.
But some guys have the shape of their head looks good. You look at a Telly Savalas or who's the guy that played King and I, Yul Brenner.
Yeah, Yul Brenner.
Oh, I have a fairly good, well-shaped head.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, you weren't a breech baby. You know, I came out feet first, I think. So, feet first or head first?
He came out, hit the ground running. Let's go.
Yeah, feet first. So, anyway, you know, your head gets squeezed a little bit, and they wouldn't have hired me in the FBI. They said no pointy heads. Or, you know, I could have been a cone head on SNL.
Really, you don't look like you've got a pointy
No,
head.
it's just a slight area on the top. And so with the hair...
I'd say it's the rest of you have to worry about.
Yeah, really. You know, with the hair...
yeah.
Now, did I need to do it? Did it get me laid more? No, it didn't.
Right.
But, you know, it made me feel a little bit more confident about myself. And that helps. That gets you laid.
Now, you take a guy like Scott. Scott has you have a full head of hair for a guy your age. Yeah, look at him. Look at that.
Yeah. He just doesn't have any testosterone.
That's what happens when that happens.
I know. That's absolutely correct. I have the testosterone level of an 83-year-old man. That was a few years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, I mean, kids that are in their 20s, they have testosterone around, 1,200?
By the way, let me first of all, before you go any further, explain to the audience, testosterone is not an Italian ice. Okay? Or pastry. Or pastry. It is. It's a thing that makes guys.
It's a hormone.
Yeah, it's a hormone, and you know how to make a hormone. Of course, refuse to pay her.
Right.
But anyway, I have a very high level of testosterone.
Bet you do.
And that's why, you know,
You
guys
lose the hair.
So, ladies, if you want a guy who really can, really can lay the shit out of you, make you
talk to Tony.
Yeah, talk to Tony. No, just find yourself a guy who's bald. He's got the testosterone going for him.
You know, but when you start getting older and your testosterone level drops, it's harder to lose weight, and there are other issues. Now, I looked into getting testosterone boosters because mine is in the 400s, and they said, "Oh, that's fine." I said, "No, it's not fine. I want some more." But then they told me
163. Okay.
They told me
163. Yeah.
Yeah,
that's a few years ago. They put me on the. I took some, like, you rub this shit under your armpits.
Yeah.
But and all it did was want me to make jack off all the time again, so I quit using it.
Yeah, well,
wait a minute. That was bad? How?
All the time, Alex. Like 3 times a day. It was horrible.
Well, that's what. Welcome to the wonderful world of having testosterone.
Well, my nutritionist
three times a day. Come on.
Never left the house.
I was good for at least 5 or 6 times a day.
Wow.
Especially when you were 13.
Yeah.
But the thing that my nutritionist says about testosterone is that if you take it, you have issues with cancer. Taking testosterone treatments can exacerbate that. So she told me not to do it.
Right. But you don't get cancer simply from having testosterone.
No. But if you
start taking the testosterone pills.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if it's
why would you run the risk?
Is it a pill or a shot?
Testosterone?
Testosterone?
Yeah.
It's a liquid that you rub.
Oh yeah.
Under your armpits.
Yeah.
And absorb. You can't take a pill because.
Do you feel different after you do it?
That it would kill your liver basically.
Oh. Okay.
So you have to put it on your skin and absorb in that way.
By the way, you know what's happened to me as I've gotten older?
What's that?
I've lost all the hair under my armpits.
I wonder what that is. Maybe because you lose it up here, then you lose it.
No, you didn't lose it. It's coming from your nose.
Oh
and your
yeah,
ears.
absolutely.
Yeah, we don't lose it. It's like energy. It's,
I still have some pubic hair left, but the hair under my arms barely. Let me feel there are some hairs there, a couple of hairs, but it's just not as hairy as it was.
There are times that I feel wealthier than other times, and I went into a waxing salon, and I had them wax my shoulders and my back, that was a luxury. That's even more of a luxury than getting hair plugs.
Did it hurt or no? It was like a hot wax?
It's a hot wax. Doesn't really hurt.
He likes to pamper himself. But doesn't it hurt like they got to pull it off though? Or no?
Yeah, it's not that bad.
Like a bitch.
Yeah.
I would imagine.
Well, I mean, what are you? Are you look like a gorilla? I mean, what's your problem?
No. It was there. It bothered me. So I liked it. I don't have the gorilla hair. That I don't have, but I just liked it smooth.
Yeah,
he wants to be like a baby. Got to get everything smooth. Going bald.
There wasn't enough to be anything but a straggly, and so I said, get rid of it.
Yeah. Well,
but I see why women do it. I mean, I don't do the upper lip or anything, but the shoulders and the back, it seemed like a reasonable thing.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I never thought about doing that.
The back. It's kind of.
Did you yell out the name of movie stars as they were pulling the hair out of you?
No, that happens. I yell out the name of deities when I'm being Rolfed, which I'm getting tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock.
Rolfing's great.
Yeah.
What's that?
It's really great. It is painful, deep massage.
Oh.
Yeah. What they try to do is get the muscles to move over one another. They rip the fascia, and I don't know what the fascia does, but it hurts.
Well, I have fasciitis on my foot here, and as I talk to you on the show, I roll a golf ball on the bottom of my foot to kind of break it up and to loosen it up and to make it better, so the next day when I put shoes on and walk around, it doesn't bother me.
Oh, I thought you did that because you wanted to step on your own balls rather than have somebody else do it for you.
Yeah. Well, no,
Okay.
no. People are leaving us like crazy now. See, because nobody's calling, they're leaving us.
Yeah.
Good.
Well, there must be another podcast on now that's.
It must be a competing podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're on Spotify now, along with about 80,000 other podcasts. So go on over and try and find us.
Yeah, I noticed the icon on the website.
On what website?
Cabinet.
Oh, yeah. I put it up there just to, in case some people want to go over.
Is Spotify free, or do you have to
It's free.
subscribe to it?
It's free. Yeah, there is a subscription format.
Oh, okay.
But that affects more music than a podcast. And they've just been recently, they've taken podcasts as a matter of form, which they hadn't done before. So now there are like tons of them up there. But we're up there. We're all our programs are there, folks. I know that I don't know if Damien's put his up yet. I have no idea if he has. But he chose to put his. I said, I'll put it up for you. And he said, no, I'll do it myself. And so I went, okay. And he hasn't. Or I don't think he has. I went looking for it today, and it doesn't come up. So, but Jack's show is up. Michael Snyder's movie reviews are up. The Franchise MC with his sports show is up. The Ramble, of course, is up. So all our programs are and Life in the Passing Lane is up there, too, as well. So all 67 episodes. So that's, So we have another outlet that we can have nobody listen to us on.
You're on so many outlets. If you add up all of those outlets and all the people that listen on the different outlets.
Oh, yeah. There are like tens of people listening. Yeah. Let me see a few items. This one came out yesterday. Wait a minute. Hold on a second. Let me read it to you. A defunct retailer has filed a class action suit alleging that Sinclair Broadcast Group, they're the evil broadcast group, and Tribune Media and other big owners of local TV stations conspired to jack up the prices of local commercials. That, of course, violates federal antitrust laws. Sure. The story continues. The suit by now bankrupt Bon-Ton Stores, filed Monday in federal court in the Northern District of Illinois, claims the retailer spent more than $89 million in local ads over the past 4 years. Through their price-fixing scheme, Tribune, Sinclair, and their John Doe co-conspirators have monopolized the airwaves and extorted millions of dollars from businesses like Bon-Ton, said Bon-Ton outside lawyer Adam Levitt. But anyway, so that's the latest against Sinclair. Not nice people. Not nice people.
Yeah, well, maybe you can learn something from them and monetize GabNet.
Oh, yeah, sure. Sure, if we get those other 10 listeners, I think we maybe can start running ads.
Yeah. Hey, you were saying that I was reading today that Sears is actually filing for bankruptcy.
Yeah, I was going to mention that.
Yeah, and closing.
And closing the whole schmear.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
They had a good run.
Yeah, but you know where these companies went wrong? They somehow never knew how to embrace the internet. And by the time they probably decided to it was too late.
They had a catalog.
Yes, they had a catalog. That should have been enough for them years ago to say, let's sell this online.
You could see the brassiers.
Yeah, right. But aside from that, if they had internet, the catalog, they would have been. They might have had a good business going for them, because today you could close down all the stores, but you still have the online presence.
Now, Sears was a mall anchor, and oftentimes what malls would do is that the anchor stores would get either very reduced or no rent, and possibly pay a percentage of sales, whereas the other stores that are in the mall were paying very high rents, the small ones, to be next to the anchor stores. So, they couldn't make it even with reduced and low rents.
Well, it could be that the anchor store status disappeared for them over the years.
Yeah.
When was the last time you went to Sears, Scott?
I had to buy a forklift battery one morning, and I went to Sears because they were open. And they have the batteries right there, those Die Hard things.
You, Scott, go to Sears at all recently?
We got our last dishwasher there about 4 or 5 years ago.
Really?
Yeah.
Really? So
Ken Moore, I guess, whatever it was.
So why are they out of business?
Well, they last a long time.
I'll tell you why they're out of business. If you go there and you try to get help or somebody to come down off a ladder and answer a question, they're non-existent. Stores have become self-service without the self-service savings.
Well, I'll tell you something else. I suddenly realized I was in a mall.
Yeah.
I didn't think I was in a mall because all I ever do to go to this place is because Costco is there. And so I went to I went there and I said I'm in a mall, because they had all these stores there and so on. And it's a vertical mall, but it's a mall nonetheless. And I suddenly realized that a lot of these malls, their anchor store has got to be Costco.
Costco in other areas of the country are usually set away from other stores. They stand alone.
Yeah, you're right.
IKEA does that.
You're right.
So maybe it's just the real estate in New York forces it to be vertical. And
well, the one out in Brooklyn is in its own property.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. And most of them, although if you go to the one in Marin, it's in a shopping center, and those are probably going out of business too. I mean, I would say that online, Amazon, companies like that, have literally put the mall and the shopping center out of business.
Well, when I sent you that Mac Mini,
yeah,
I threw a book in there called The Big Box Swindle.
Yeah.
And that book mentions my store, but it also talks about how these things like, not necessarily Costco, but Home Depot, Menards, and other big boxes, how they operate, what they do, and what it does to the local economy in the areas that they do open. It's a very interesting
Well, the
book.
thing was, what's interesting is places like Big Best Buy and so on were actually
the internet saved them.
Well, no, but they were considered, what can we call mom and pop store killers.
Yeah,
because
category killers.
Huh?
They call it category killers.
Yeah. Now, Best Buy has survived so far. And part of the reason, and I'm going to say from personal experience, I found that, I found this by the personal experience I found it by is I bought a TV set through Amazon. It came, we unboxed it, and the screen was broken, right? So immediately I said, I want my money back. I sent it back to them, and I went, I want that same set. I like that set, but where am I going to get it that cheap? I went online to Best Buy, and they were selling it for, I think, $15, $20 cheaper, right? And they deliver it the next day. And somebody would come and set it up. And I said, I think they finally found a reason for existence. I can get something they will meet any price that Amazon has, they will meet that price. I've gone in and they've said, well, this costs $200. And I said, but Amazon's selling it for $150. And they said, show us the Amazon ad. I took out my iPhone, showed it to them. They said, okay, that's what we'll sell it to you for.
I've done the same thing at Fry's.
Yeah. That very thing is what I think has saved Best Buy. There's a reason to shop at Best Buy. Why? They're in the neighborhood. You can go down the street and get it. If you go in and they're charging more than Amazon does, you show them the Amazon price, you're going to get the Amazon price at Best Buy. So they have been smart that way. I don't know if it's losing them money, but they've been smart that way.
Yeah, I've been buying most of my electronics. I buy it through either Adorama or B&H, and their prices are the same as as Amazon and all those others.
I had something very strange today at Costco that was really off-putting.
Yeah.
To begin with, I was videotaping in there, and somebody said, you can't videotape in here. I'm going, what? Fuck you. What do you mean you can't videotape? I can't videotape. I can't video in here.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I'm checking out, and I went to just go get this 5 terabyte mini hard drive, the passport size hard drive.
Yeah.
Why? I don't know why anybody buys. I bought one the other day because it was a 6 terabyte I needed. But why anybody buys the big hard drives anymore, external hard drives? Because the little ones work just as well. They're just as fast, and they take up less room. But and no power cord. Okay.
Right.
But the other thing was, so I bought this thing, and I check out, and I put my card in and everything, and she says, I have to call somebody over to okay the sale.
What?
I said, what for? She says, anything over $100, we have to, any one item over $100, we have to get it okayed. I went, what? That never has happened before at Costco. Huh?
I wonder why they did that.
Yeah, I mean, I've gone in and bought things for $150, a monitor or something, and then nobody comes over and has to sign out on it.
That's
you buy steak, it's over $150.
Exactly.
Really? When are they going to sign up?
No,
on
but
the
and so I don't know why this has suddenly started happening at Costco.
Now, when you got the passport, was it in the box or was it a ticket that then you had to go to a back room?
No, it was in the box.
Okay.
In this big, impossible to open box.
Oh, one of the ones with the lock and the plastic.
The lock and the plastic and the plastic and the
Isn't
stuff.
That a shame that they're always
and you can't get the scissors to go through it.
Like anything.
Well, I've got a little thing I always use for opening that, and it's this thing. It's just got a little razor blade in it, and that'll open it up. But
did I read somewhere you could take a can opener and put it on one of those packages, and you turn the can opener and it would open?
Really?
I think I saw it on a Facebook hack or something. You see those things, 25 hacks that you wish you knew.
Well, I've got that hard drive, that external hard drive that I bought, the big one, in its packaging back here, and I don't think you could do it with a can opener.
Well, it's those packages that are they have plastic and they're sealed, and you try to cut them, but even when you cut them, they don't cut.
Yeah, I use a razor when I come home with this stuff. I kind of like cut it, like.
Yeah, you can use an X-Acto knife or something.
Well, Tony, you live in Queens. Everybody uses razors.
That's true. Yeah, they're ready to kill you or anything.
Razors and chains.
Crazy.
But anyway, so why is that? Costco's slowly turning me off. About the only thing I can see to go to Costco for is bacon and toilet paper.
Oh, I like the hot dog. Yeah. When we check out, I always get the hot dog.
Well, good for you.
They are good, right?
Oh, they're dog. It's dog meat, don't you know that? It's dog meat.
I actually bought it.
They're kosher.
It's dog meat. It's Pebbles.
Yeah, isn't it all?
It's still good though. I gotta tell you, I love it. So I always get a hot dog on the way.
Well, you can buy those.
I did. I bought a box.
Yeah.
Yeah, I bought them there. So sometimes I barbecue them.
Yeah, but they're skinless, and I hate skinless hot dogs. I like.
Are they skinless? I thought they pop when you eat them.
No.
I always get one or the
the Casper's. Have you ever had the Casper's hot dogs?
No.
Or it's not just a West Coast thing?
No, but Nathan's.
Well, I like Nathan's. I like the
but it's funny. Nathan's are the best hot dogs, folks. In case you don't know, and let me elucidate here so that you do know, and that is the best hot dogs going are ones with skin on them. The ones that when you bite into them, they spurt and they pop.
Now, that guy, Joey Chestnut, does the Nathan's hot dogs have the skins?
Yes.
So this guy puts down 150 hot dogs and they got the skin on them?
Yep.
Unbelievable.
And the buns.
What's his colon got to look like?
Yeah, but anyway, the skin, I always get the skin hot dogs, but they sell Nathan's hot dogs in stores. And the store versions don't have skin on them. What kind of a fucking Nathan's hot dog is that? Every now and then I'll get on the F train and drive take the F train all the way out to Coney Island just to go to the original Nathan's.
Well, these other guys have no skin in the game.
You're right.
All right.
Thank you, Phil. Good one. I'll have to give you that.
All right.
That goes down. That goes down with who?
He lives in San Jose.
What?
Really? Joey Chestnut, the guy that eats the 100.
He's ranked #1 by Major League Eating. It says on Wikipedia.
He eats the Nathan's hot dogs on July 4th.
You know something? I just don't know that that's anything you want to be proud of.
What the hell?
I mean, I just wonder why these people go out there and have there is money. I think they win. Don't they win some money for it?
I have no idea.
I mean, I'm sure Nathan's pays him, right?
Speaking of winning money, by the way, the what is it? The big lottery. What's it called? Mega Bucks or whatever it's called. This week is going to be over $500 million.
Yeah. I'll win.
No, we'll all buy a ticket, and then it'll be won by some.
Illegal immigrant.
Yeah.
Good for him.
Yeah, they won't give him the money though. But that's good because the next week it'll go up to $600 million.
No, they do. I think they give them the money. They have to.
I think if they're
if you buy a lottery ticket, let's say you're from outside the country, you're here on vacation, you buy a lottery ticket, you win, you're going to get the money.
You're going to get the money.
Is there something about buying a lottery ticket out of state and they send it to you in the mail that's illegal? I think that's illegal too.
Not that I know of. I mean, if you buy a lottery ticket, you buy a lottery ticket. Like the Mega Millions. The Mega Millions is all over the United States. It's not just here.
Most of it.
So I will go down this week and maybe buy $20 worth of lottery tickets with the chance of winning that kind of money. But my chances of winning that lottery are better than anybody listening to Gabnet on Spotify. So, so I know what it's like to take chances.
Well, I had never played the lottery up until I joined that camera club. And the coffee they have at the camera club is terrible. It's instant coffee. So I stopped.
What is it? It sounds like an AA meeting to me.
Yeah, really. And so I stop at this 7-Eleven type place.
Yeah.
And I get a Starbucks coffee. They got this machine. Yeah. You press the button and you get the Starbucks coffee.
Yeah.
So the Starbucks coffee is not enough money for me to use my debit card. So they want you to spend more than $4 or $3 or something to get to use the debit card. Yeah. I like keeping track of what I spend, and the way I do it is I spend it on the debit card. So I get a lottery ticket now. It's $2, and I say, okay, give me a lottery ticket and my coffee, and I put it on the debit card and I go.
You know what I never have won any money on?
What?
Scratchers.
Oh, I do the scratches. I like them. I get them from my mother and me.
Yeah, How much money have you won over the years on scratches? Do you ever get a big payout?
I think I won $20 once.
Oh, wow. Don't spend it all in one
I'm so
place.
excited when I win.
Alex,
20,
what? Wait a minute. What, Scott?
My little brother,
yeah.
He won $100,000 on a scratch-off thing.
Really?
Yeah.
Son of a bitch.
Now, Tony would play the numbers for his mother.
Yeah, he did 6-1-3.
And so he says, you got a number? He says, I'll put $1 on it.
I was playing numbers for him.
Right. So I would play the numbers on Tony's money. But
usually I play 6-1-3 for her own license plate, straight and 50-50 box. She hits a few times.
It doesn't matter. I let them just pick the numbers for me. It doesn't really matter.
Alex, she's crazy. She has dreams of numbers sometimes.
I have my lucky
just
numbers.
Give me the number. I said, she's not going to win anyway.
The numbers, some Italian guy with a paper bag. He's got the numbers. He goes to a barber shop. He picks them up. He drops them off somewhere else.
Isn't this the same as the numbers game used to be, basically?
Yeah, it's illegal. It's a
no.
It's the mafia.
No, but not the no. But isn't this the legal version pretty much the same as playing the numbers?
Yeah, except it's government sponsored.
Yeah.
Also, back in the day, you were able to play the numbers like at the candy store, and you just give them the money.
Yeah, that's what you did.
There was some.
But who drew the balls, though? They just told you.
No, they didn't. They would go to a racetrack. They would look at the last 3 numbers of the attendance.
Oh,
and that was how they determined what the number was going to be.
Well, that's pretty ingenious. So you can just
I think there were other ways they did that too. I think there were other ways in which the numbers came up.
Yeah, I think in New York they used to use like Yonkers racetrack. It was for horses.
Yeah,
and the attendance would get published, I think the next day or something, and that was how they did the numbers.
Yeah, and then you would find the guy who sold you your numbers ticket, and he would pay you.
No, you go back to the barber shop or
you
go back
to you go back to the bookie is really who you go back to, basically.
Exactly.
Yeah, well, no, he would deal with the bookie.
Oh, really?
The barber would deal with the bookie.
You know more about this than I do.
I think you like to play the numbers and bet the win.
No, my father, my grandfather was a bookie, but he died in the 1930s, and my father told me that he had told him that gambling was for suckers and never to gamble, and being a bookie, you weren't gambling. You always had the edge, and
I'm sure. If it's 3 numbers or 4 numbers or whatever, I mean, it's the same as playing the lottery.
Yeah,
I'm sure a lot of times they probably didn't have any winners.
They don't.
Game. They just get all day loving when there's no winners. Let's keep the money.
And if there is a winner, so what? Good for you, pal.
Yeah. Now, when Tony would play the numbers for his mother, did you always give the money and get the number from the bookie, or did you sometimes pocket the money?
No, he pays. He's playing.
Tell her that she lost.
He's playing the legal lottery.
Because Cuomo won't legalize gambling. I mean,
what, Alex?
Cuomo legalize it already.
Alex was saying something you talked about.
No, but I mean, Tony's mother never went to a bookie to play the numbers.
No, she sent Tony.
She sent me, and then I get my legs broken.
No, he goes down and gets the lottery tickets.
Billy, give me the 3 numbers.
He would go and he played the numbers.
Hold on a second. Which lottery do you play for your mother? Do you play the New York lottery?
I usually play the Pick 3 at night.
Oh, okay, but you played the New York lottery.
Rolando Vega, I think, used to pull the number. She used to watch it right before Wheel of Fortune. They would cut in.
Yeah.
And then it'd be like tonight's winning Pick 3, and they go like 5. So she always would watch Wheel of Fortune, and then when the
when you went to the candy
channel, don't turn it. Like, I'm going to turn the channel, Mom. I'm only getting coffee.
So when you went to the candy store,
she got mad. I told her I played
it. So when you went to the candy store, you were playing the real numbers. You weren't playing the mafia numbers.
But I have to say night, not day, because they pull them in the afternoon. One time I put it in for the night before for the next day, and I said afternoon Pick 3. She got mad because she always wants to play at night only. They pull them at like 7:15.
Has she ever won a decent amount of money out of it?
She won about $300, I think, once, or $280, whatever the
payout
is.
And now, how much money in the meantime has she spent?
Oh, that was long gone as soon as he came home. The bills, yeah.
Now, Tony,
no. I'm saying, how much has she lost over the years?
Forget it, Alex, forget it. I never took her money. I used to always lay it out.
Oh, really?
I got in my wallet. I said, it's all right, Ma. I used to just come out. I feel better if I take $2.
What do you mean? Putting boxes together all day has made you a big spender?
No, but she makes me dinner, so how can I take $2 from my mother? I feel bad. So, I said, I got it. I usually just.
As long as you don't take it out of her purse.
She'd give me money, like $20. Yeah. I mean, I can't take $2 from her. I wouldn't do it. I feel like a bitch, really. I mean, she makes me dinner. I mean, it does my clothes.
Have you ever lived somewhere else other than that house?
No, actually, this is it.
Really?
Yeah, it's kind of strange, really.
Yes, it is, Tony. Yes, it is.
I'm a relic here now. I said to myself, I think the house is taking me over.
I and Scott and Phil, we moved out when we hit 18, right?
Yeah. I stayed. She wishes I would have left. She likes me home now because they call me all the time.
Well, do you even have to pay any rent at all? Or
no, I pay rent for my mom.
Oh, okay. He pays rent.
$30. She doesn't pay any bills.
30? How much?
Yeah. What do you pay? What do you pay?
I pay $1,000, but me.
You pay $1,000 a month to your mother?
It's good money in boxes.
Jeez.
But we pay the cable. She doesn't pay none of the cable or anything like that because she just, we kind of do the billing now for her because she can't do it. She can't see. She's legally blind. I took her to the eye doctor to get a shot. I says, Doc, can she see out of this other eye at all? Right?
You keep telling her, Tony.
She can see like fuzziness.
This is
Tony.
She's blue bloods. I said, how the fuck are you watching Tom Selleck? I said,
Tony, are you showing her the books that she can't see and telling her you put $1,000 in there?
But he said it's like a blurry.
What I'm smelling here, folks. What I'm smelling here is Norman Bates. Okay.
I think sometimes I thought about what you said. I said, he's not that far off. I mean, I love her, Alex. Believe me, I love my mother. But after a while, it's like, come on, you're killing me. I'm trying to finish reading the book deed. She calls me out. I got her the Alexa, right? Because she can't see, so I figured she could do the voice call. It was the worst nightmare now. Now I see Mom ringing my cell phone. So, oh, God, what do you want? Put my air conditioner on. It's fucking 65 degrees out. Open the window. So I got to go up the stairs, put the air conditioner on, sit down, let's talk. How was your day? How was my day? The warehouse stinks. I'm going up and down the stairs 100 times. I want to go back downstairs. All right. Oh, wait, I'm going to call Aunt Barbara. So get it. You want to stay over?
Tony, if you go up and down the stairs 100 times a day, you're going to fall down. How can you text me 30 times a day? Because I'm Ray Renati. You do it to him too. 30, 40 times a day. How do you do this?
My workstation with my coffee. I mean,
you never work.
Alexa's not. She means well, but you're right, Alex. After a while, it's like, Ma, enough already. I'm going downstairs. Call me later, but not in an hour, though, please. Yeah, she's all right. I mean,
we're finding out, folks. We're finding out more about Tony
than
we really ever wanted to know.
You're right. Yeah, that's true. I mean, like she said, you're gonna miss me when I'm gone. I said, I don't know about that. I'm joking, because she knows I'm always joking around.
Yeah. Are you in the will?
She was the last one, so we spoiled.
Are you in the will?
I don't want to hear this anymore.
Are you in the will?
I was the last one.
Wait a minute, you're not listening to me.
Oh, what's that?
You see, I mean, you start talking, then you just don't.
I know, because my mother's taking over again. She's getting me crazy.
I mean, are you in the will?
Oh, actually, yes. Me and my brother have everything's in trust to me and my brother. The house and my grandmother's house, which was
so you'll never have to leave that house.
Actually, no, but I think we're probably going to want to. I would probably like to leave to get a one family, to have a little more space. When the time, if they weren't here, go off a bit. Because I told my mom, she said, you should probably get something just smaller. Because I don't want to live with a stranger.
How old is she?
Huh?
How old is she?
77, 76.
What? She's younger than me?
I think she might be, Alex.
No, she might be. She
might
be. If she's 77, but it sounds to me like she's there's a bucket and she's getting ready to kick it.
You know what it is? She's very
what Tony did to her.
She can't walk well, and she's legally blind, so she's falling apart. I mean, I love her still.
What kind of rough life did she lead, and what kind of charm life did I lead? All I've got is numb feet.
If she's blind and she can't walk, she should be calling the show.
Oh God! If she called the show, she'd be talking about Tom Selleck. Oh, she loves the guy.
Tom Selleck.
Yeah, everything is Tom Selleck with once. I swear to God.
Oh boy.
Oh, my show's on Friday. It's a new one. I says I don't care about Donnie Wahlberg and Selleck is not my.
Well, this is the most animated
we've. The show stinks. I said, Mom. Oh, I like.
This is what happens when you don't call, folks. Tony actually talks.
Yeah, I told this to Shecky. He laughs. He says she's funny. I said, I know.
I got a note from. By the way, I got a note from Shecky. I got a note from Shecky because he's in. He's in
how's the show?
What?
He's at the film con. I forgot.
He's at Pordenone in Italy.
Yeah,
to the film convention.
That sounds nice.
It's a silent film thing. It's days and days of silent films. But we have been talking over the years. 'Cause I love 3D. Okay.
Yeah, me too. I like the 3D.
And I love, so I have two 3D TV sets here, but they stopped making the 3D TV sets. And you think, well, why'd they stop making them? Why? Because they weren't a sales factor? How much could it cost to put 3D in a TV set? Well, he got the answer.
How much?
A friend of his found out about it, and they got into a discussion about it, and he said, my friend Alex and I always are arguing about, why there are no more 3D TV sets, and I'm saying because they don't see a worth for it. He says, do you know how much it costs for them to put the chip in the set that makes a TV set 3D? And he said, no, 75 cents.
Jeez. Oh, my God.
All they need to do is just put the chip in there and say, hey, if you got some 3D movies, you can watch it with this. No big deal. Don't charge more money because it's a 3D TV set. What they did is when the 3D TV sets came out, they just jacked the prices up, right? You want 3D? Here it is. 75-cent chip.
Then they found out nobody watches 3D.
I used to love households.
Wasting the 75
What do you
cents.
mean? You're not wasting it with me, man. I love 3D.
I remember going to see the Vincent Price movie.
And by the way, when movies are shown in theaters, people pretty much go to the 3D version, not the 2D version.
I usually go to 3D.
I don't want to watch in 3D. I don't want to wear those glasses, and I don't go to the 3D.
But are you
version.
wearing glasses anyway?
Yeah, but I don't want to put those glasses on top of my glasses.
Oh, okay, but I don't mind the glasses. And in fact, what we do as a ritual, we don't steal them. We paid for them, for Christ's sake. They charge us $3-4 more a ticket, right?
Yeah, but it says put the glasses in the barrel.
They would like you to do that so they can then take them and rinse them off and put them on somebody else's eyes.
They don't rinse them off.
No, they take them.
You get the ball sweat from the next guy.
No, the company takes them back. They send them back to the company. The company cleans them, refurbishes them, repackages them, and sends them back out to the movie theaters. Why should I should keep those. So I have hundreds of 3D glasses.
Are you complaining
in this
about
house.
the price of a ticket to the movies?
Oh, yeah.
Now, you are single-handedly costing the movie industry hundreds of thousands of dollars by stealing these glasses, and now they have to raise the price of the ticket, and the rest of the world suffers for your addiction. You know?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh. How are they suffering again?
You're stealing the glasses. They got to raise the price of the movie.
No, they don't. No, they don't.
Of course they do.
You know. In fact, sometimes, you know where it says deposit your 3D glasses here? I actually dip in there and grab a couple. You know, it's my feeling that I paid for them, you know.
You know, when I pay for the price of admission to a theater, these theaters, they have 16 screens, 24 screens.
Yeah.
I go from 10 in the morning to almost midnight.
Yeah.
And I'll go from movie to movie. And I got it figured out. I have an app on my phone so I can see when the next movie starts. So I don't have to stare and look at it. I can just look at the app and say, oh, I got to go to this theater because this one's starting at the right time.
Oh, okay. All right.
But theater hopping. You know,
oh, you do that. I don't do that. That I don't do.
you just steal the glasses.
Yeah, but you know what they do? They stagger the movies enough that you can't just walk in at the beginning of some other film.
Well, you can. Sometimes you can sample something, see if you want to go back to it. You know, you get 5-10 minutes and just check it out.
But they stagger them enough so that you'd have to miss a half hour of the show. You know, there was a time, folks, kids, you listening? You listening to me, kids?
What are you going to the Bijou?
No.
If you got 24 screens, they can't stagger.
No, wait a minute. Kids, years ago, you go to a movie. I bet even Scott remembers this. Tony probably doesn't. Phil does.
Two movies and a cartoon.
Right, but different from that. When did you go to the movie?
Saturday?
You come in the middle of a picture.
Really?
Yes. You didn't say what time does it start. You would come in the middle of a movie. You would sit through the two features, and then you would look at your friend and say the most common statement in those days, is this where we came in?
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, wow.
Do you remember those, Scott?
Nope.
No. Okay. Too late for you.
I watch a lot of movies like that.
No, in the old days, and you could sit there, if you really liked the movies, you could sit there all day and watch the movies over and over again. Nobody's kicking you out.
Yeah. Well, now they don't like that. But,
oh no! Now they clean the theater out and they say you got to leave. I'm sorry, it's over with. You got to get there when it starts. You know.
Yeah.
So and if you get there late, yeah, fuck you. You know. Except that the comfy chair theater where you own that seat. Nobody else can take that seat.
When I buy my ticket, I will buy it for the movie that I think they're going to check tickets. You know, they have certain ones that are really in demand and they're limited seats. So that's the one I'll buy the ticket for. Mm-hmm. And then I just hop, and even if I don't like that movie, I'll go to see something else. Mm-hmm. But I'll make sure I have the one that's tough to get in.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah. But the whole nature of the way movies are screened has changed. And there's also no pride in showmanship either. You know, I on two occasions had problems with the projections of a film. One was that it wasn't in 3D when it was supposed to be in 3D. And everybody is sitting there, and I notice it's not in 3D because I'm the big 3D maven, and I go downstairs and I tell them, and they go, no, it's in 3D. That's a 3D showing. I said, come upstairs. Here, put these glasses on. That's not 3D. You're right. I said, I know I'm right. He said, we can't do anything about it. The film's already started. You know, it's
Enjoy
like
your show.
It's a hard drive. And I said, I want my money back. I paid extra for 3D. I'm not getting 3D. They thought I was crazy. I'm looking at the theater, and everybody's there with their fucking glasses on, thinking they're watching a 3D movie. And nobody's complaining but me. And it's not because I'm an old man. It's because I paid for 3D. You know, and the other time, it was Black Panther. I told people it wasn't until I saw it on video that I actually saw the film because it was so dark. The film was being projected so dark, and the guy went, no, it looked okay to me. I said, come over. You're playing it in the theater next to this one, okay? Come on over to the other theater. And I put the glasses on him there, and I said, take a look at that. He says, you're right. It's very dark in the other theater. But there's nothing we can do about it because it's halfway into the film. I went, Jesus Christ.
Did you move over to the other theater?
No, because the other theater was running, I think, later. The film later than was running, so I would miss something. And I couldn't. It was a comfy chair theater, and it was sold out, and everybody had a seat there already. So I couldn't. That's why I couldn't go there. But it's the lack of pride in showmanship that gets to me.
I like the trivia questions that they got before the thing. You'd probably be good at that.
They don't do that anymore.
No, they got it at my theater, AMC. They got trivia questions.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And I usually get them.
No,
right.
with me at my theaters, they seem to run these 15-minute commercials for movies that and now let's take a look at this new TV series behind the scenes
coming out in April.
Yeah. And you get like 20 minutes of or 15 or 20 minutes of what is essentially a commercial. And then you get the trailers, which go for now 20 minutes. Yeah,
that's crazy.
20 minutes, and all of them, unfortunately, all of them are tagged for the feature that is playing. So, like if it's a Marvel movie, it's like all the action adventure pictures that are coming out in the next 6 months, and if it's a romantic film, well, then it's all the weepy pictures that are coming out in the next 6 months.
Yeah. I also have my favorite seat in theaters, and I like to get there early enough to get it. It's just above the handicap section. There's a rail where nobody's in front of you.
Oh, right.
You're a little bit higher,
right.
and you put your feet on the rail.
Right.
Yeah.
But today, most of the theaters now are going to this comfy chair format, and you have to purchase what seat you want. Do you have that, Scott, in Plano or in that area?
Yes, we do. We do have that.
Because when I was talking about the comfy chair originally, you probably never had one, and now a lot of major theaters now have it. So that's fine with me. I like the comfy chair theaters.
I like to lay back. It's fun.
Well, I don't lay back. I just like the comfy chair.
You don't put your feet up?
Yeah, my feet they get numb.
Oh.
Because of my spine.
It doesn't come with a chiropractor. Hey, I just saw on my iPhone there's a software update, 12.0.1.
Really? Oh, that means I'll have to do my watch too, probably. By the way, what time is it, Mickey?
It's 11:57.
Oh, well, it's almost time for us to call it quits here. What time is it, Mickey?
It's 11:57.
Well, it's 11:57, but I'll bet if I ask you again, Mickey, you'll tell me differently.
It's 11:58.
Okay, yeah, that's right. He laughed too.
Yeah. So, did Mickey say it's time for the outtake song?
The theme song. Yeah, is it time for the theme song, Mickey?
It's 11:58.
Oh, shut up, you fucking mouse. Anyway.
Come on, Mickey.
Huh?
Hey.
I got a Mickey Mouse. They went to Disney World.
I got a Mickey watch.
Oh, you got the watch. That trumps me. That's nice.
Yeah.
I like the one.
Anyway, listen, I got to go. Phil, it's been nice talking to you. It's been nice talking to you, Tony, hearing all about your life as Norman Bates. And Scott, very nice talking to you. And all the other people who didn't call, fuck you. We had a nice time tonight. Good panel. Didn't talk once about the T word.
It's a Trump-free zone.
And it will be again tomorrow night, too. Well, not tomorrow night. We can talk about Trump and just bash him.
And just smack him, yeah.
Give him a pimp slap.
There's nobody to stand up to you.
Hey, give yourself a big wave goodbye so everybody can see you waving goodbye. That's it. That's our citizen panel for tonight, albeit kind of, what can we call it? We lost everybody. And they all hung up at the same time. Well, to hell with them, man. We don't need them. Anyway, we don't need no stinking rotten panel any longer. Anyway, I really thank them for having joined us tonight. and hopefully they will. Tomorrow night will be a free night, a film-free night. Fortunately or unfortunately, as the case may be. In any event, I'm Alex Bennett. That's it for tonight. We'll see you again tomorrow. Next is Jack Bishop and the Intersection, followed by Connections at 1 o'clock Eastern Daylight Time tomorrow night. Damian Chaplin and the Exchange is here at 9:30, and then at 10 o'clock, same time, same station in life. It's me. And if you see her, tell her I love her, okay? Bye-bye.